pain is so deep. Pain resonates within the individual, and how it's released is also dependent upon that individual. Um, the turmoil in America, part Baltimore. Um, I had discussions with lady friends. I had discussions with my mother. I had discussions with my grandmother. You know, um, and with me just saying that um, is a problem right there, right? Like, what's the problem? You talking to your grandma, talking to your mother? I have not talked to any persons that look like me, black of the male descent, on this issue. I have a father, I have an uncle, I have a brother. We haven't discussed these things. Uh, I know my father has uh, differentiating views than I have, uh, and so does my uncle. Uh, so what I want to get here and say is to let people know that uh, if you allow uh, things to continue a certain kind of way, um, it's going to continue to go in that way. If you're in an abusive relationship, if she hits you or he hits you, and you stay in that relationship, and you all play that out, and then it happens again, and then you all play that out, and it happens again, and you play that out, right? Pretty much just continues. So we have a continuing cycle of abuse in impoverished black areas. Now, those that has been constant, and the rebuttal, or the point to counteract that has motto has somewhat been the same also to situations like that, right? You might have your community centers and things of that nature that tend to not really reach the neighborhood in entirety as it is needed. You may have a select few, and if they receive positivity from that and a different way of thinking, and are exposed to different things as a result of that, that's great. That's a win. But it's so minute and so small to the larger picture, right? It's just like, you ever seen something come on your television screen and you're like, man, like, I'm not seeing the whole picture. Some of it's cut off, right? And so you're not getting a full understanding, and it's not affecting you in the way that it was meant to, right? So if you bring Billy, right, but you don't bring Nathan and Andre, right? But they're all homeboys. But Billy, he's going, receiving some positivity, and he's coming back to the neighborhood, and he's speaking with Nathan and Andre, right? Nathan and Andre don't know what the fuck Billy talking about, right? Because they haven't been exposed to the thing, so it's somewhat foreign. They're buddies, they're friends. So Billy, he tries to tell them what he has, what he has learned. But he's just a peer. He's not somebody that Andre and Nathan looks up to, so they have no real reason to be affected by the things that Billy has gone through, right? So we have to reach as many persons as possible, and in many areas as possible. So if we have the NAACP, right, which is great, right? If the NAACP takes African Americans or people of African descent, and we work with them, right? And we try to expose them and give them views and outlooks on how they can handle situations that may arise and how to be a productive citizen in this particular society, right? And you have to understand that everything is within context, and people don't understand that everything that you internalize is within some type of context. When you speak of society, we immediately think of persons of holding United States citizenship. We think of democracy, right? But you might have another individual, and when they hear the word society and being a functioning member of society, their outlook and vantage point of society is something totally different, right? So if I grow up in a certain household and I see society as one way, right? So once I actually become an adult and get to mingle and integrate with society as an adult, I'm going to take those things that I learned and things that have raised me and things that I saw growing up, and I'm going to apply those things into my now adult life, and I'm going to try to be a citizen of society as a result of those bases and foundations that were stacked that brought me to where I am today, right? So you have that individual, right? And you know, that could have sounded positive in some type of way, right? But you have to understand that it's individuals that see society and live society totally different than someone that may have grew up in a household with 2 cars, 2 garages, 4 bedrooms, you know, right? Being able to you run out of syrup and you're able to go to the store that same morning and come back home and finish breakfast, right? Some people grow up in a society like that, right? Some people grow up in a society where they run out of syrup, right? And that just means that they don't have any more syrup. There's no way for them to get any more syrup. They have an income. They may be working, right? But the income and the society that they're in, once they exhaust that resource, there are no reserves. There are no ready-day funds, right, in their society. Because when people began having restaurants that you could stop at during your travel, right? In the day, say you're in a car, 1950, 1940, 1960, you're traveling, you were like, it would be nice to be able to get something tasty to eat, right? And continue our journey, right? So you had individuals working there, you had mothers, you had fathers, right? Working in those restaurants that you would stop at and eat and go about your business, but those persons were in return that was working there would be able to take care of their families. And when they ran out of syrup at home, they would have the funds in order to go get that syrup. So when that child wanted pancakes that morning, right? Because pancakes are somewhat cheap if you think about it, for the amount that you can get for the box. So you get a box of pancakes for $3, and all you need to do is just mix water, right? That's a pretty economical breakfast to have, right? And we won't get into the nutritional value of that. But okay, so say I'm 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? And we're having pancakes and we're out of syrup, and I see that, wow, this person works, they're able to go get syrup when we ran out of syrup. Or situation B, I see the pancakes here, right? We don't have any syrup, and my mother works and my father works every day, but we don't have enough money to go get some syrup, right? So I see them waking up every day, right? Working hard, right? Coming home and not having enough. How could that affect somebody internally? How could that affect somebody externally, right? How they go about seeing things and viewing things, right? Are they going to look down on their parents like, oh, you didn't do enough, you're not a good enough person, mom, dad, and you're not taking care of me enough, right? Or is your mother or dad a fine individual, right? And working with the tools that they have, right, to try to make it happen. But in society, we look at it now as you're not doing enough. Even though I might go to McDonald's 4 times in one day, right, and pay you good money, right, for those things, right, that cost 6 cents on the dollar in which I'm paying, right? But you're telling me that that person that is providing with me with my food is not adequate contributor to our society, right? That's what people are saying because that's the amount that we're paying them. They're not just working part-time, okay? Say that everyone that worked in fast food and in that realm, it was just a part-time job, okay? All right? And so if you want to say that you want to work those jobs just to get you somewhere else, right? So make it part-time then. Don't allow people to work them full times, because you can't take somebody's entire day and week, right, and have them work for you, right, and then in return not give them enough to provide for their family. Point blank period. It doesn't equal out. Now, if you want to hire yourself an intern, someone that feels as if they need this experience to get somewhere else, right? Right? Because you value them more than another person, right? Then have that person work for you, right? For free. And let them get that experience for some reason that they're getting that's not beneficial to anybody, because you're saying that the person that's working full time is not an adequate human, right? So you want to keep the minimum wage down on jobs like that, right? Right? Okay, because you said they're not doing enough. But if you run into somebody in those restaurants and they don't articulate well, and they don't understand what you're saying, and you don't like the way that they came off, right? You're still going to treat them like they were working at a job where they were making $25 an hour, right? And you're going to want to speak to a manager, and you're going to want to say, hey, this is unacceptable, right? For me to come into this store and be treated this way, or have people working that cannot seem to provide customer service in a satisfactory manner, right? You're going to have some type of feeling about that, right? But you don't want to pay that person what they're worth and what you're asking for. You come into this store complaining, bitching about whatever, you got going on in your day. You might just be having a bad day, so you come in there rude to them, right? This is an employee. They got to uphold the standards of that company that they're working for that $7, $8 an hour, right? They got to take your BS, right? And they still got to serve you on top of that, right? And they got to make sure that everything is satisfactory and make sure that you're happy by the end of your experience, right? Which in return is going to cause you to come back to that same location and spend more of your money, which is going to generate more revenue, help the economy, help business owners, right? But you're going to keep the person that's working down. So you're going to take good businesses out of a community, or not place good businesses, right, with a higher earning potential in certain areas, right? And then get mad at the individuals in that area for working at those low income areas, right? and not being able to do better for themselves? Did you give them an opportunity to? Right? Right? We have to think about the cause. Like I think I heard Eddie Griffin say, the cause and effect, man. I think that's what I was trying to say the whole time. You have an effect, you have a cause, you have the cause that caused the effect, right? Why is everybody broke? There's no businesses there. Why they don't go get a job? There's no businesses there. Why don't they get a better education to get a better job? The education is poor. Point blank period. Point blank period. So, say somebody got a education, right? Went to 4 years, got their little degree, whoop, whoop. So now, they don't want to live in the hood, right? They say, I have a college education that I paid for, right? So I want to stay in a nice area to raise my family, right? Not saying that this is could not be a nice area, but the government that we pay taxes to is choosing not to, place adequate funds in these areas to make sure that these areas stay clean and nice and things like that, right? So that teacher that should come to that Title I school, if you don't know what a Title I school is a school where is in an impoverished area and the children are at a disadvantage before they can get into the classroom, right? Okay, cool. So teachers that should be working at these Title I schools or impoverished areas or in need of help areas, right? That commute is too long. I'm gonna get the job right over here, Marthasville, with planes and all that kind of stuff like that, right? Close to my house where I just bought and everything like that with my education and things like that. So in return, that so teachers that may have got let go from Marthasville, now they're coming to the school in the inner city because now we just need teachers. We just need some doggone teachers that got that bought education that we said that you had to have in order to teach these kids, right? Right. So now you got those poor, hurt and disenfranchised educators trying to teach your children that they care nothing about, right? And they're just trying to get their paycheck, right? And they're already mad that they have to be where they are and the decision that they made in their life, right? So in return, that affects our children, right? So our children are not receiving the best thing that they can receive, right? And as soon as they come outside of those classroom halls that are not being painted and exposed with new technology and different cultures and just broadening their horizons, right? They just see the brick painted with the school colors, and maybe the little classroom, the little board that the teachers have to put up and things like that, right? What chance are we actually giving people, right? Had to be fair. First thing they told me when I came out, my mama, they were like, bam, life ain't gonna be fair, right? Because they just wanted me to know as soon as I was like, that ain't fair. Who told you life was gonna be fair, right? But we all know fair is good, right? So anything other than fair, right, will be bad, right? So why will we get okay with the mantra or the saying that who told you life is gonna be fair? Well, I know the devil ain't telling me that. I know a person that wants to hold me down didn't tell me that. You know what I'm saying? Because they want me to grow up, right? And say I'm a Caucasian kid, right? And they say life is not fair to that Caucasian kid, right? Right? So that Caucasian kid coming through life, receiving advantages and things like that, right? Or even an African American coming up in a better type of upbringing, right? They're receiving these type of things. That life ain't gonna be fair, so they're snatching and grabbing and clawing to get where they need to be, right? And stepping on people on their way up, right? And they get there, they say, yeah, right? I'm here, right? Did they get there fairly, right? Did they not brush shoulders with somebody? Did they get things that they may not have deserved? Did they slide somebody's resume up under the thing that they feel as if might come into the workplace and be a threat to their position or things like that, right? They didn't play fair, right? Because they was told from a young point that life was not fair, right? So what does that tell a person? That tells them that you don't have to be fair. right? So if I'm in your courtroom, right, and the officer that got me in that courtroom did something that was not fair, right? It did something that was not right, right? But instead of making your whole department or your city look bad, because if a judge is working in that city, an attorney is working in that city, and then you have all their bosses and executives and putties and pals and things like that, right? Not including the police department, but including the police department, right? So so if Buddy on the police department does something wrong, right, and it gets a trial, right, it's gonna if the judge has to say that the police officer was wrong, that gets that police officer chief or boss in trouble, right? And then that chief and boss's boss is in trouble, right? Now they gotta answer questions and do reports and stuff like that. So it's easier for them just to be like, hey, well, you shouldn't have been in here in the first place. So if you're wrapped up in this, then bam, we just gonna do what we need to do and then call it a day, right? So this person sitting in jail thinking what? Oh, let me conform to society. And you thinking like, man, this was real fouled up, right? So how could you pass out anything other than what do you know? All you know is what you experienced, right? You tried to go the legal way, right? The legal way cheated you. So now what? Now what? Right? Somebody else said something profound. The name slips me right now. But this person said that someone told them that, governments, when they don't follow, when other governments, they don't follow laws and, the rules that were set there for them to follow, what do they come in and do? They come in, blow them up and things like that, right? And be like, hey, y'all gonna act right now? And the person might be, oh, okay, we're at right now. Woo, woo, woo. So if you have communities in your own country that are saying that you all are not following the laws, what have they been shown from their father government of how to handle that situation?